Way here pretty quickly. Are you going to get underway here pretty quickly?
Yeah. I'm just waiting on them.
Those of you watching the live stream, we'll be starting the presentation will be starting shortly.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, welcome to our 5th Youth on the Air camp. And we're very glad that you're here. We have just a few words to say, and then we will let you eat. We have Olive Garden catered. If you're gluten-free, don't do the croutons on the salad. I think that takes care of it. So anyway, just want to welcome you. We do have a few traditions that we kind of stole from youngsters on the air, and a few of our own. So we'll do one of those here in just a minute. But I'm Neil Rapp, if you don't know me, WB9VPG. I am the camp director, and so I try to organize the chaos. And that's always what it is. We prepare for everything, and there's always something different that happens every year that we have to deal with. So fortunately, we are here and ready to roll. So we're gonna do that. Also, let me introduce you to Mark, PD6IQW. He is our local host team lead, and his wife Holly, Mrs. PD6IQW. And they have been planning for this for a very long time, and trying to figure out where we can stay, where we can be, all those kinds of things. And so, Mark, you want to say a couple words? Okay, thank you very much.
I want to first welcome everybody here. This is a great honor for us to have you all here. Kind of, in my opinion, are the best of the best, and the future of America and amateur radio. So again, I want to thank you for coming. Looking forward to an incredible week. My wife here, Holly, and I will be here with you all week. We'll have probably a little safety talks at altitude. You're all at about 5,200 feet here. But we'll talk about that later. I just wanted to say thank you. It has been a long time coming. This started as a dream, and when my son attended 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, after seeing what the experience did for him, was when it came into my mind. It's like, I want this to come to Denver. I want to be the host. So, kind of a dream. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. All right. Well, one of the things that we do is we play the national anthems of all of the participating countries. So if you feel inclined to stand up for that, different countries have different ways they do this. So we're going to go through all the countries represented here this evening.
I must be
All right, thank you. You may be seated. So we want to mention also that Mark and Holly are representing the Denver Radio Club. They are our local hosts, and this is Sparky. They have a mascot. Its name is Sparky. So, yeah, it's Sparky. So we want to recognize Denver Radio Club for all their efforts in helping with the antennas and helping Mark get everything put together. Okay, well, That's our welcome. We have a lot more to talk about tonight. The good news is that all the talking gets done tonight. The rest of the week will be much more active, I promise you. So at this time, we can go through the lineup here, and you can get your food. And we have a tradition of campers going first, so we can do that. Yes.
Campers go around the back.
And so go around the back, come up by the flags, and then come around. Drinks are in the coolers here, and so go ahead and get your food and meet the people at your table if you haven't already. And we will resume the live stream, and we will resume the festivities after dinner. Brian, you ready to go? All right, everybody, if I could have your attention. We've got a few words to say here about Yoda and what to expect out of the week and what we do. And then you get to hear about DXpeditions. So we're running a little behind schedule, which we kind of knew, but we'll try to catch up here. But first of all, today is Father's Day. And so we want to give a shout out to all the fathers in the room and all the fathers out there watching, and all of our ham friends that are fathers. So happy Father's Day. I got this shirt that I was told I had to wear. Best cat dad ever, from Rainbow and Allie. I've been catching Rainbow and Allie on FaceTime every night that I've been out here. So trying to keep up with them. But the staff meeting, they told me that I had to step up my game on the dad jokes. If you've been here or around me before, you've heard the chemistry jokes, because I'm a chemistry professor, and so I've got all kinds of chemistry jokes, but all the good ones are gone. So if you don't like these, you can blame Rebecca. A ham and cheese sandwich walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, but we don't serve food here." Never date a tennis player. Love means nothing to them. I've got a great joke about construction, but I'm still working on it. Okay, in honor of our fake Italian meal here, what do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. And mountains aren't just funny, they're hilarious. All right. Again, Rebecca is to blame for the.
You're getting bolder with those jokes.
Yes. Wow. I wish I had a good comeback. Well, anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Yoda for those of you who don't know about Yoda. Yoda is a group of young amateur radio operators, typically under the age of 26 or 25, or 0 through 25, under 26. We're not a club. We're not a membership organization. We're just a group of people who get together and try to share ham radio with other young people. And our goal is to connect young amateurs with others of similar age by promoting and facilitating activities with the goal of encouraging their continued involvement in amateur radio. We are not a ham radio recruitment program. We do not run license classes. That's what a lot of people think we do. And that is not what we do. We are there to support you. We are there to give you things to do and give you outlets to do those things and with other young people after you are licensed. We focus a lot on getting new hams. Honestly, we don't, as a community, don't do a whole lot to support the young hams that we already have. And so that's where we come in. This began in Europe. It began as an intercultural exchange, and then IARB Region 1 kind of stepped in and made it more ham radio than just the intercultural exchange with a little ham radio in it. The youngsters on the air, or youth on the air, it's a cultural difference. Youngsters is a more positive term in Europe, where youth is a more popular term in the U.S. Most when I've talked to people from Europe, they're like, yeah, anytime I hear the word youth, I think troubled youth. And so here, you hear youngster, and it's like, okay, how old are you? 284? So it's a cultural difference. And so that's why it was renamed Youth on the Air for the Americas. It is very different from other youth programs because we focus on youth leading the activities and planning the activities as much as possible. And that increases every single year. My goal is to put myself out of a job because this is for you all. And so we are always looking for people to get involved in doing this. And I have all kinds of wonderful volunteers that will say, I want to come talk to Yoda about X. And I say, I'm sorry, but you don't meet the age requirement. We get some amazing people that just want to come share their vast wealth of knowledge. And I tell them no. It's not easy. But the thing is, we know that you all are more likely to ask questions from one of you all than you are from us OMs. I go through that, as a former high school teacher and a chemistry professor, I get the same thing. It's like, please ask me when you don't understand. It's like I'm trying to pull teeth, and we don't like that. And there are some other teachers in the room over here that will tell you the same thing. It's like, please ask us. That's what we're here for. But we know that doesn't always happen. In fact, scientifically, it's shown that doesn't happen unless you are just so far away, you feel like anyway, it's so far over your head that you just have no other choice. And so while we don't want to just totally give into that, we know that you all need each other. And I went through that too. And so that's one thing that really makes us different. We don't have a whole lot of sessions where you come and listen to people talk. This is the one night you're going to get that. You're going to get maybe 1 or 2 hours of that the rest of the week. The rest of the time, you're going to be doing stuff and sharing stuff with each other. And that's really what we're all about. So we have a lot of goals. We say 50% is our goal. We usually hit about 80 or 90% of the sessions are led by hams in their 30s or younger. We want to build a stronger community. You know, all of you tell us that you're isolated, that you're the one young person in your local radio club or the one ham radio operator in your town. And so what we want to do this week is we want you to get to know each other. And so that's our big goal. And so, yes, some of our activities have absolutely nothing to do with ham radio, because we want you to have some time to get to know one another. And so we'll have plenty of ham radio activities and opportunities, but there's also opportunities to just, you know, play a board game, play cards, go bowling, all that kind of thing throughout the week. And we really like to try to do things that you can't do at home. You know, a lot of people say, well, why aren't you guys on the air all the time? Why isn't this like a big contest or something? And it's because you can do that a lot of other places. You don't have to come here. You don't have to, you know, come halfway across the world to get on the air. But you may not have the resources to do a high altitude balloon launch or to be able to go do a summit on the air. Those are things that most people don't have access to. And so we really try to focus on that. Yeah, we're on the air, but we don't make it like, you know, let's see how many contacts we can make. We want every one of you to make at least one contact before you leave. The rest of that is up to you. But we want everybody to make at least one contact. And some people, it'll be their first HF contact. We've had a lot of those. But we really want you to get to know each other and explore ham radio together. So that's what we'll be doing. We're starting to get some sub-regional camps now. Sub-regional camps are 3-day camps that are country specific. Canada's working on one. We're hoping Argentina's not too far behind. So we're trying to expand that. The first true sub-regional camp this year is going to be next month, and it's going to be Yoda Junior. One of the very first things that I wanted to do when I took on the role of camp director was to create a camp for those that are under 15 years old, because I was 5 when I got my license. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit, but I feel so bad when all these 10, 11, 12-year-olds come to me and say, well, I can do ham radio too. And it's like, yeah, you can. It's just a different social group. And so finally this year, we're going to launch the first Yoda Junior USA camp at the last weekend of July. So we're growing. Of course, you can find us on social media and our website. We link to all kinds of other youth activities. We try to put every youth activity we can find on that website. It's not just our stuff. It's other programs too, other organizations that are out there doing their part in supporting you. So we try to keep all of that there so you can see it. In fact, as we spread the word, I had to throw this picture in. My wife, Julie, sent me this picture because this package arrived while I was out here this week to set everything up for this. And this is a package that I sent to every single country in the Western Hemisphere with brochures, stickers, telling every single society of amateur radio operators in every single country in North, Central, and South America about our program. The only one that I couldn't send out was Cuba. When I mailed these out, there was a ban against any mail going to Cuba. And so I said, okay, well, I'll go try UPS. Well, they had the same thing. I went to FedEx, and they told me the same thing. I went to DHL, they told me the same thing. And so that envelope right here sat on my desk for about 3 months. And I was in the post office one day, and they had a sign up about something about special instructions for Cuba. And I said, wait a minute, I tried to mail this to Cuba. What? Yeah, can we mail stuff to Cuba now? It's like, oh yeah, they lifted that ban, you can send this. So I sent this, and if you look up here, August 14th, 2023, it came back on Wednesday. That they couldn't deliver it because the post office box wasn't valid anymore. So sometimes it's hard to spread the word. And so we need you all to spread the word that we're here. A lot of people don't know that we're even here. So please spread the word. We do have some specific activities. December Yoda month is a big one. It's a special event all December long. We have special event call signs, most of them ending in YOTA. Unfortunately, in the US, those are illegal. So we have 4 call signs, one ending in Y, one ending in O, one ending in T, and one ending in A, to spell out Yoda. But this is something you're going to hear about from Case back here on Friday, and maybe even a little bit tomorrow. But that's a great opportunity for you to get on the air and even do some cool remote operating that Case can set you up with and get you on the air. We have our camps that we've talked about, and then the Yoda contest is run by the youngsters on the air group, but we participate in that, and it's a 3-round contest, and you can find all of this on our website. I talked about Junior that's coming July 25th, 28th in Cincinnati. So we're really looking forward to that. I believe we have 11 young people between the ages of 9 and 13 that will be participating in that. So now this message from our sponsors. The average estimated cost per camper so far has been about $2,116 plus the equipment. And so if you add in all the radio equipment that we have, it costs about $3,273 for each one of you to be here. You didn't have to pay that. You paid $100. And you paid for your travel here. And some of you could not afford that $100. And so you got a local club to sponsor that, or you had us sponsor that. And that $100 is really just to make sure that you're here so that we're not wasting money by buying all this stuff and preparing everything for you, and then you don't show up and we don't use it. That's the reason for that. But all of this is possible because of sponsors. Now, we haven't got Toyota on yet, but I thought that would be a really good one because it says right there on their ad, to Yoda. I think it fits. But we couldn't do it without these people, and let me tell you, this year was the roughest one we've ever had for fundraising because prices have gone up. Inflation has hit us. Our housing costs are up 43%. food, everything. And so, you know, we couldn't do it on our old budget anymore. We had to raise the budget. We had to raise our funding. And we had a shortfall like you wouldn't believe until about a week and a half ago. And some of these foundations stepped up and increased their donation that was already huge, like ARDC and WWROF and YASMI. They increased their funding to make this work. ICOM always takes care of us. They provide not just shirts and lanyards and band charts and all that stuff in your swag bag, but all the radios. Everybody in this room that's a camper will get an ID 52 plus, yes, to use for the week. So we'll check those out in the morning, and you get to use that until you leave on Friday. Our shack back here in the back, all IC 7610, IC 7300, IC 9700, and for soda we've got IC 705s, and ICOM provides all of that. So thank you so much to those people, because we couldn't do it without you. We also couldn't do it without Northern California DX Foundation. They sponsored us in our first year, and they're back this year. And they were actually working with these other foundations to fill that shortfall that we had. So thanks so much to NCDXF for major contributions to us. DX Engineering, you've got your hats, which were a big hit at Dayton this year. So I said, hey, send us the straw hats instead of the ball caps. So they did. They also sent all kinds of supplies for the shack and for kit building. And so when you go home, you will be able to take your antenna home along with a 50-foot piece of coax from DX Engineering. So thanks to them for all the gear that we're giving you. Heil Sound has provided all of our headsets, both for the remotes and for the shack. Foot switches, hand switches, and t-shirts for all the campers. They do that every year. And in fact, our shack is named in honor of the founder, Bob Heil. Frankfurt Radio Club always contributes. And so thanks to them. And also a new one, North Fulton Amateur Radio League is sponsoring the high altitude balloon launch this year. So many thanks to them. We were finishing up that deal as I was driving across Missouri and Kansas, which actually made that trek interesting. So, but anyway, thanks to North Fulton for sponsoring the balloon launch. Also, Radio Club of America, and we have a past president of Radio Club of America here that lives just down the road here. Stan Rubenstein. Stan, you want to stand up? Radio Club of America has been a contributor every year, and they do the Hamvention Youth Forum. If you've been there or seen that. So Stan, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate your support. We do have our own Bengali key from Bengali Keys. So that's out in the shack for you to enjoy. Four State QRP has donated the kits that you're going to be building. And Ham Radio Prep has given us a deal where we got a donation, but we also get a commission from people using our little promo code. If you sign up for that, you put in Yoda 15, you get 15% off. And then we get part of that. So they're helping out. They also donated free, unlimited, ultimate memberships to that site for you all to study for an upgrade. Or for our international people, some of our international folks want to get a U.S. license so they can use U.S. remotes. And so some of them are studying for their U.S. license, and Thursday night we're going to have an exam session for those upgrades and for those DX folks that want to get an American license. But they have donated the study materials for you. So if you, as a Yoda alum at the end of the week, would like to have access to that, we can certainly fix you up with that. And there's so many others that have donated. We had an auction, we've had telethons, we've had just donations everywhere. And so we try to list all of those on our website and on GoFundMe. But we can't get them all in, but thank you, because that's how we've made this happen. We also have partnered with a lot of organizations like Denver Radio Club, Youngsters on the Air, ARIS. You get to talk to an astronaut this week. Edge of Space Sciences, that's partnering with Jack McElroy and his father, Tom. He was here. He's out in the car. All right. They are getting together to do the high altitude balloon launch and some mid altitude balloon launches this week. So that'll be cool. The guys from WWV, as soon as Mark said we're coming to Denver, I said the field trip has already been decided. And he's like, huh? I'm like, there's only one place for the field trip. We're going to WWV. And, oh, okay. And so, luckily I had made some connections there with the chief engineer. And so I called him up and Dave Schwartz, the president of the club out there. And, oh yeah, we'll give you a tour. And we'll also let you operate from there. So that's going to be cool. AMSAT always takes care of our satellite stuff. Again, 4-state QRP, our kits. Joe Eisenberg helps us with our kit building strategies, as well as David Cripe in N0S. Bill Brown, WB80LK, is one of Jack's mentors that does a lot. Tower Electronics for a lot of our little parts, and the Colorado section of the ARRL has chipped in for some of your drinks and snacks that we will have. So thanks to them for that. And where's Amanda? There's Amanda. So Amanda, come on up for a second. This is Amanda Alden, K1DDN, a friend of mine that we've been on the air together. We've been on Ham Nation together, and we got to meet each other tonight. Finally. After many years. But she is here to tell you about a special opportunity from ARRL. So, Amanda?
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here in Colorado. Welcome. I'm local here to Colorado, obviously. And although the ARRL is not an official sponsor, I wanted to make sure that I could give you what I could give you. So any students that are 21 or under have an opportunity to have a free membership to the ARRL. That will include a digital subscription to QST. I also brought a ton of QSTs that I'm going to leave here for anyone that can take them. And we also have some gift certificates to give out at the end of the week. I think there's a $50, $25, and another $25. And we're going to have trivia for that. So learn some Colorado trivia while you're here in the state, and or maybe how many quotas, things like that. Anyhow, enjoy your week, and I am just very grateful to be here tonight. And I see a lot of friendly faces. I've had some of you on my podcast, Ham Nation, before. And I'm thankful for Bob Heil to start that and letting me take over. So welcome. And anything else you want me to add new? Nope. Okay, well, thank you. And oh, I do have one more thing. I'd like everyone to give a hand to all of our volunteers here who have traveled very far. Volunteers, raise your hands. Stand up, volunteers. Come on. Stand up if you have put some effort into this week. There you go. Thank you guys and gals so much. You worked hard. Now I will pass the mic. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also should mention that Amanda's had the distinct honor of putting up with my QSL card orders.
Oh.
So,
And maybe a few others.
yes, maybe a few others, but Amanda does a great job printing up our Yoda QSL cards. So thank you for that. So she took my speech about the volunteers. So the working group that you see their names here, these are the people, most of them are in polo shirts, a few of them are not, but working group people, stand up please. Working group people. You notice that there are some ONs and some YLs and some YYLs and some YMs. We have a nice mix of people, and we're always looking for people to join in and do the planning, and this is a year-round job. Camp is really about a 14-month cycle. We've already started on next year. You're going to hear about that on Friday. But it's in a long-term volunteer position. So thanks to you all for doing that. We also have an amazing adult camp staff that most of them have been here year after year after year. They just keep coming back. I'm not sure why, but no, they believe in the cause. They've seen what this program can do, and so many of them have taken off work. I asked them even to give up their travel stipend if they could for the week, because we were running short, and an overwhelming majority of them said that's the least I can do. So these people are just fabulous. Can't say enough good things about them. But thank you to all of you. Also, thanks to some of our youth staff. Case is back here. He's been doing our Yoda month stuff. He's also helping out with some of the DXpeditions stuff that you're going to hear about in just a little bit from Greg. And Blake couldn't be here. He's got baseball. And his brother Ryan both help with Yoda month. And then Liam does our QSL cards and sends all those out. So thank you to them. And of course, we have several parents here this week visiting us, and other volunteers. So thank you all for your time and efforts. Now, each table has a colored tablecloth, and you'll notice that your name tag has little colored corners on it. These are our groups. Now, we don't do everything in groups. It's not like you're not going to see the other group members from other groups. But what we do is we kind of have a system of checking in twice a day. And so these are the people who are going to do that. The red group, Hannah wave, so everybody knows who Hannah is. Orange is Chris. Yellow is Andrew. Wave, Andrew. Lyle, Anderson, and Case. So we'll talk more about that when we talk about rules. Here's a little bit about you all. Out of the 32 campers, 24 are from the U.S. The state breakdown is there. One from Canada, one from Argentina, one from Austria, one from France, and two from Austria. My fault. I left one of y'all. France won and Italy won. The average age is 18 and a half. We do fill the entire age range of eligibility, 15 to 25. So that's a little breakdown on that. And yeah, my apologies for our additional guest from Austria. So you may be wondering why I would do such a thing, why I would do this. And this is something that I shared at Hamvention this year. I was 5 years old when I got my license, which at the time was the record. And I remember the struggles that many of you go through. I would be on CW and I would send out, name is Neil, QTH is Vincennes, Indiana, and, the whole thing. And then age is 5. And they'd come back. Can you repeat that? Was that 55? No. 05. And they disappear. Couldn't log the contact, couldn't confirm the contact because it never ended. They just disappeared. They're like, a 5-year-old can't do this. They're just playing around. And I remember that struggle. And so I want to do what I can to help you all not have to go through those things. That you all can have peers that are your friends in ham radio that you can explore ham radio with as you go and be that support group. And so that's really why, I've put hours and hours and hours into this. And so that's why. And we can talk more about that if you like, or you can check out my QRZ page. So I had to throw this in. One of my wife's students, she teaches Spanish, had a student who was fairly new to the U.S. and she was talking about some problem that happened, and she said, Denver, we have a situation. And everybody just looked at her. Denver, we have a situation. Don't you mean Houston, we have a problem? From Apollo 13. And so it's always been a joke at home that, whenever there's a problem, it's Denver, we have a situation. So that's the story behind Denver, we have a situation. We have some future Yoda campers with us that we need to recognize. And so Sterling back there on camera duty, as he is in the picture. And Justin.
Ray went home. Ray just
and Ray went home.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
But you saw, y'all saw her.
But yeah, you saw
Your mic.
Ray. She was speaking through there.
Thank Justin
so-
for the internet.
Yeah. So yes, thank you, Justin and Ray, for being here. And we do have a Yoda shirt for Ray, so we'll get that to her. Also, again, we want to make note that our shack is officially the Bob Heil K90ID Memorial shack. He helped us all along the way and provided, anything I needed. He would look at me and say, Neil, have I ever said no to you before? He's like, no, Bob, you haven't. I'll take care of it. I said, we got too much noise in that shack. We need some headsets. Not a problem. So last year, after he became Silent Key, we decided to name the shack after Bob. So we want to do that. Katie, do you have the key? So one of the traditions is to pass the key from camp to camp. So we have the official key here that we will be passing on to the next host at the end of the week. So there's the Yoda key. So we will do that later on this week. But Katie got to pick it out. So. Oh, out, yeah.
Like both of you out of the light. You're
Out of the light.
together now.
Oh,
That's
over here.
That was
All right. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so we'll pass that on at the end. Okay, you've heard me blab enough. Sam is tired of me talking. Sam's always tired of me talking. I'm tired of me talking. You get to hear all the boring stuff later. But with us is Greg Marco, W6IZT. Greg and Hal Turley came to me at Hamvention a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, we've got an idea for our next DXpedition. We want to take some youth with us, and we want the youth to operate at least 75% of the remote contacts from Rotuma." And so we partnered with them, and they have another one coming up that's even more youth oriented. In Saba Island, and Greg, no pressure, but somehow when Ruth went to Saba, I didn't get her.
There's a whole ton of connections with Saba in this room.
So I still need Saba
Well, why don't you come?
on DXCC.
Why don't you come with us?
No, but if I go, then I don't get it.
No, you go out on the internet, you work remote, come back.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Hey, we
So-
can leverage technology any way we want.
Yeah, so Greg is going to talk to you about DXing and DXpeditions and an opportunity to participate in the Saba Island DXpedition. So as soon as I,
So Neil,
Hit
did
the
you know
right
that this was
button.
going to be an ongoing thing when we met a year
well, maybe not.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
But
I
it
don't
sure
know,
is.
but it did. So Greg, it's all yours.
Thank you. Do I need the microphone or can everybody hear me?
You need the mic for the
Microphone.
screen.
You need the microphone.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best Roger Daltrey here and spin the microphone around while I'm talking.
There you go.
Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Yeah, Hal and I met with Neil at Dayton a year ago. Talked about this concept of getting youth involved in DXpedition. And it's kind of taken off on a life of its own. We all learn from our experiences. One thing I've learned from this experience is that it's easy. There's a lot of work, but the relationship, the process, the people's, embracing what we're doing. Very cool. Thank you.
A little close. You still have to use the mic, so they
Still have to use a mic. Okay. So I'm here to talk about a little bit about Rotuma and our adventures there. And this is actually a picture taken by Lucas, LY7J, while we were at Rotuma. Really beautiful place. It's like stepping back in time, except for the cars, trucks, and motorcycles. You could be in the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s. There are no grocery stores. There's no hotels. There's no B&Bs. We stayed at a place that they call a homestay. There are a couple brought us into their home, and we stayed there for 2.5 weeks. There's some technology that I'm going to talk about here, and it's really a presentation onto its own, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I got involved with a gentleman named George Wallner, AA7JV. George is a really amazing guy, serial entrepreneur. Each and every one person in this room has something in their pocket that George invented. And that is the magnetic strip on a credit card. And that was a long time ago. And we were on Navassa together in 2016. He is sitting on a rock in his shorts and a t-shirt. And he hangs up and he goes, "Greg, you know what I just did? I just sold my latest digital pay company to Samsung." So Samsung Pay was invented by George Wallner. George is, I wouldn't say eccentric, but the man is focused. He built a 160-foot yacht, purpose-built for DXpeditioning. And so I had the pleasure of knocking around with George for a few years in the Pacific and the Bahamas. And he built these large radios in a box that are intended to be put on a beach and operated remotely from the boat, or more recently with the advent of Starlink, over Starlink. And we were in the Pacific in 2023 at a place called Ducie Island. And I said, "George, why don't we make one of these ribs, which are about 90 pounds and 4 feet long and huge, why don't we make them into a small box?" And he says, "Yeah, you go ahead and do that, Greg." I said, "Okay." So we got back from the Pacific and I started working on this. And I've got pictures of it in the presentation, but it's a self-contained remote radio that can be used locally. But one person can carry it, and it's small enough to fit in the overhead on a plane. We took it out to, or a DXpedition team took it out to Robinson Crusoe Island off the coast of Chile. And we had 30 remote operators. The DXpedition in total made about 80,000 contacts. There were 5 radios. On the remote, we made almost 20,000 contacts. We had one technical glitch, a minor thing that I've never seen fail before, haven't seen fail since. But we're kind of off to the races. And what really surprised me is how excited these young operators were, and even the older operators, in operating this DXpedition remotely or virtually. And it got me pumped up. We had a call after the DXpedition with the remote team, and everybody was saying, "Yeah, it was an amazing experience, most enjoyable thing I've done in my ham radio career." One of the seasoned DXpeditioners said it was just like being on a DXpedition. We're in a chat room talking. It's the same conversation we would have if we were on a tent on some far-off island. So I thought, this is really cool. And my wife, who I give a lot of credit to because she's very positive and encourages me in my ham radio stuff, and it's gotten to the point now to where I've kind of hung up my real estate business and she's running with it because all my time is focused on what I'm doing with DXpeditions and young hams. So she said, "Why don't you use this to get young kids, young hams involved in DXpeditioning?" I said, "Great idea." And so as Neil said, we met with Neil in Dayton. Neil and I have this relationship, and it's been going on for about 14 months now, and we've been on 3 dates, and they're 15 minutes each. And we don't have to say a lot to each other. It's back to that comment about being easy. It's just easy, and I think it's meant to be. So which button do I hit here? Okay, so this is the team that we took to Rotuma. Your left, Nathan, K4NHW. Nathan is an EMT. Some of you know Nathan. Lives in the Atlanta area. Next to Nathan is Dean, W2FQ, retired Army Ranger. That big tall guy in the middle, some of you might know, Connor, KD9 LSV, who came up through Yoda. Yours truly, Jamie, M0SDV, who is a police officer in the UK. And Lucas is a professional photographer. And this was our team. We couldn't take a bigger team because we only find one place to stay on Rotuma. Fortunately, it was on the beach, which was a good thing for ham radio. but they could only accommodate 6 of us. In fact, our hosts moved into like a lean-to shelter for 2.5 weeks while we occupied their house. They fed us, you know, it was just a great experience. So that's the team. All the pictures in this presentation, for the most part, are from Rotuma, and there's a few from Seba that I'm going to talk about towards the end of the pitch. Using the technology I talked to you about, and I'll show you pictures of these, what we call next gen 2 rigs in a box, we can involve young people in DXpeditioning in significant numbers. You don't have to go there. You can participate from the comfort of your home. You can experience working a DXpedition pilot from your home. DXpeditions are evolving, and we're in a time of big change. I kind of look at the broad era of DXpeditioning, and we've come out of an era where we used to do these big box DXpeditions, where a 40-foot cargo container full of gear on a cargo ship going to some far-off place, team of 15 or 20 people, hundreds of thousands of dollars in costs, and all that's changing. We're doing it smaller, smarter, more cost-effectively. The youth that have been involved in this program have been really excited, and they're very interested in continuing with the program. But there are some hurdles, and we recognize these. We recruit mostly from Yoda, but we also are recruiting from the contesting community. We're recruiting in North America as well as in Europe and globally. We have gotten to a point where we're scaling pretty well. We're going to be doing at least 1 DXpedition a year, maybe more if we can get more leadership on board. Guys like me, I celebrated my 70th birthday the day I got back from Rotuma. I'm getting kind of old to be going places where, you know, you got to go onto an island in a Zodiac or trudge across coral reef to get to where you're going. And there's a lot of guys that are my contemporaries that are aging out as well. But we have a tremendous amount of knowledge. A good friend of mine who's also part of the team shared with me, says, you know, 95% of the work is done before you get up on the morning that you leave. And I thought about that, and I said, we're taking these hams to an island, but they don't know what it took to get there. I've probably, for Seba, it's June. I'm going to guess I've got 3 man-months of planning on this trip already, and that started the first of this year. So that's half of my working hours I'm spending on this. The other half I'm trying to keep my real estate business going. But there's a lot of expertise. How do you go about negotiating to go someplace? Some places require applications. I mentioned Navassa earlier. The application to go to Navassa that was submitted to Fish and Wildlife Service was 300 pages. Everything from how we're going to support their security contingent to contingencies and risk mitigation plans that we had in place. It was very comprehensive. A tough one, it's near and dear to our hearts, is fundraising. It's not easy. You know, I share Neil's pain, and he knows, and we both know exactly what it's like. And in some respects, we're competing for the same pots of money. The people that are supporting this endeavor are supporting me as well. And when I say me, I'm referring to, we have a 501c3 organization, which in the US is a tax-free corporation. People who donate it to it can write it off on their taxes, but it's called the Pacific Island DX Group. And it's me and 2 other board members. We're volunteers. We don't take any salary or any expense reimbursement. But that's just kind of show you, you know, organizationally what we're about. So I touched on this a little bit. I mean, gosh, I wish I could go back to this place. Tell James. James knows Nathan really well, our EMT. There was a point in time when Nathan wasn't coming home from Rotuma. And he was dead serious. So now he's over in Lithuania with Lucas. So back before we did Rotuma, I started collecting data on how many young hams were out there that were participating in youth activities. And it's in the hundreds globally. Big faction in Europe, and a big presence here in the U.S. But it was I was surprised when I compiled all these lists and deduped it. It was a pretty significant body of people. I want to point out here that we only stay in 5-star resorts. You'll notice that this is an amazing shelter. We had to put our banners from our sponsors to multiple uses to keep the rain out. But you'll notice up on the roof, those are the trunks of coconut trees. And they're there for a reason. They weren't there when we got there. We try to pick a time frame to go on these trips when there's a contest because it adds another dimension of participation, awareness, competition. And so we were operating CQ Worldwide, and Jamie, M0SDV, was on the air. He was the only one down there. The rest of us were up at our quarters. And I've just kicked my shoes off. I'm getting ready to lay down. And all of a sudden, the wind kicks up and the rain kicks up. And we've been there for 2 weeks. I know what it sounds like. This was like nothing I'd ever heard before. And just at that time, my phone rings. And this is another amazing thing with Wi-Fi calling and all. You get phone calls and you're halfway around the world. People don't know where you're at. So it's Jamie on the other phone. He's screaming, help! The roof blew off the shelter. So I grabbed the rest of the team and we ran down there. And sure enough, the roof was peeling up. It was some kind of pop-up storm. The temperature had dropped at least 20 degrees. And it was just solid rain. And so we managed to get the roof lashed down. We just packed up all the radio back into their shipping containers and took it up to the house, and we rebuilt the station the next day. But it's just kind of a day in the life of being on a DXpedition. These young hams, you young hams, are amazing. We were there for 17 days. Not once did somebody come up to me and say, Greg, this is broken. But I heard a lot of times, Greg, hey, this broken, we fixed it. And that's really what I want to hear. They took action. And it was very gratifying. And these types of trips, they build character, they build teamwork, they build friendships and companionships that last a lifetime. So a little bit about the team. This is Lucas, amazing guy, great photographer, funny, really funny guy. And it was a pleasure to be with him. He was here in the States a couple weeks ago and spent some time with us. But one of the things we do, and it goes to a comment that Neil made earlier about getting the young hams to do things, is we're not just taking you on a trip, but we're educating you, empowering you to become DXpeditioners. One of the things that occurred to me, and it goes back to the comment about all the work being done before you get out of bed to leave, is that on this trip to Rotuma, we didn't tell the young hams what it took to get them there. So what we've done is I've enlisted a team of very experienced DXpeditioners. Most of these guys are in various halls of fame, and I think in total the 5 of us have been on over 100 DXpeditions to put together some workshops that are on Zoom to basically teach the hams that are going on this trip what it takes to do an expedition, what it takes to raise funds, what permits do you need, what do you risk mitigation. It's 2 words, but I can tell you it's all encompassing. And so these workshops are going to take place end of July and early August, 3 weekends. We're going to record them so you all can take advantage of these workshops as well. And it doesn't matter if you're one guy who's going on a DXpedition vacation with his parents, or if you're thinking about putting a team together and going to some island in the Caribbean. The information in these workshops is going to be very useful to you. And it's important to know the effort it takes to get you to where you're going. And we put as much work on the young op shoulders as we can. They do all the scheduling. They set the strategy for the contest, what class we're going to operate, the shifts, so on and so forth. On Saba, we're going to support Zoom calls for our supporters, and it's just going to be the young hams. It's not going to be the adults that are on the trip. And then our sponsors often require us to write articles and reports that they publish in their magazines or newsletters, and all of those publications are going to be done by the young hams. It sounds like the old folks are just sloughing stuff up on the kids, but that's not the case. I'll tell you, because I'm working my butt off right now. And at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. This is Jamie. You know, I looked at this slide, actually this morning, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. I had an email from Ward that I had to answer. And so I didn't get back to sleep. And so I looked at this and I go, why is the background so fuzzy? Well, I realized it's pouring rain. If you look closely, you could just see strings of raindrops. And it was probably raining an inch an hour. And Jamie's just pounding away working CW, which is his thing. He's a very proficient CW operator. Has been to WRTC a couple of occasions. And I'd take this guy anywhere. He's a natural leader. And I'm hoping that he'll step up and lead one of these trips in the not too distant future. Connor is having fun. Connor's doing what Connor does. And if you know Connor, that's Connor. That is Connor. Connor's in heaven right there. He's got a CW pileup going, and he's going to work it down to nothing. So this is Lucas, and I'm not sure if he's saying, look, Mom, no hands, or if he's pointing to something out in the surf. And you can see there's another reef out there, and this is kind of a lagoon, but it's not very protected. And it's always good if you can get the antennas in the salt water. It's better if they'll stay standing up. In this case, that wasn't the case. So I came down to the shelter one day, and Lucas and Nathan are sitting there, and the antenna tuner had gone in the water. It's not a good idea to put electronics in salt water. So we took the cover off it, we took it in the shower, rinsed it all out with fresh water, put a fan in front of it, and let it dry out for a day. And Lucas is the kind of guy, he's not going to just set it up to see if it works. He's going to test every single relay in that tuner, and there's probably 30 of them. Well, he couldn't tell which relay was activating. So Lucas being Lucas, he went to Nathan and said, can I borrow your stethoscope? And so they went through the antenna tuner, and every relay was working as it should, and we put it back together, and it served us well for the rest of the DXpedition. In fact, I'm surprised it's still working because we're taking that particular tuner along with a couple others to Saba with us, and we fired it up in my garage a couple weeks ago, and it survived a saltwater bath, which is really rather amazing. So we were there for Thanksgiving. My loving wife, I'm never home for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is CQ Worldwide. I'm in the Bahamas, I'm here, I'm there, I'm somewhere. And again, I wasn't home for Thanksgiving, and our host had never experienced a Thanksgiving dinner. So I took it upon myself to prepare Thanksgiving dinner for them. And not shown as the mashed potatoes and the green beans, but I did this with a loaf of bread, a chicken, salt, pepper, and garlic. None of the traditional Thanksgiving seasonings. It wasn't up to my standards that I would like to have at home on Thanksgiving, but it was a lot of fun nonetheless, and our hosts really appreciated it. So I talked a little bit about the remote rigs in a box, and did you do that on cue?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's 3 remote radios in a box, and you can't see them too well. The top 2 are based on K3s. The bottom one is based on a K4. Neil mentioned the Northern California DX Foundation. They've been very supportive of what we at the Pacific Island DX Group do as well. The bottom one here was built, is funded by myself and the president of the Northern California DX Foundation. He said, how much would it cost to build one, Greg? I said, well, I'll let you know, Kevin. I'll get started. And so I got back from Rotuma, and I was talking with the same individual on the phone, and I said, I think we should really be working more closely together. And I was expecting some kind of pushback or some reason why he couldn't do that. He says, well, Greg, I think that's entirely up to you. And so we're off to the races. We built 3 more of the K4, K3s. That's what we're taking to Saba with us. And again, this project, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our friends at the Northern California DX Foundation. So hams access these remotely. They're connected over Starlink. And we've made them really simple to operate. You don't have any knobs to turn, so we've got to make it real simple because you can't reach in and adjust the volume or the line out level or anything. So most everything is automated. There's a little cheat sheet to tell you how to operate it. This is a screen that's for CW or sideband. There's another screen that's dedicated for FT8. And having two screens just allows us to keep things from getting too cluttered. And this is what the remote ops use. I'm not quite sure. Let me back up a bit. It's in here somewhere. I'll get to it. I think I'm a little bit out of order. But there are barriers to entry for y'all. We realize that. Going on a DXpedition is very expensive. There's a trip coming up to Beauvais next year. The budget's $1.7 million. And each team member is individually putting up $35,000. That's out of my reach. I've been there. I have no intentions to go back. It's a rough place. So money's a hurdle, and we work very hard to remove that obstacle. And all of you have previous obligations, whether it's school. Some of you are out of school and going to work. But that's something we're having to try to work around. Seba's in the fall. Rotuma was in the fall. We're going to do a trip next year. We're going to do it in the summer so students can have an opportunity to participate with us. Most DXpeditions, the money just gets thrown into a pot. The pot pays for all the bills. The operators contribute their fair share, and that's just the way it works. But we can't do things that way, because what we're doing is, our goal is to pay for all of your travel costs. So you travel for free. That includes a taxi cab to your airport to get on the plane. And so we have a bucket, or what we call a container, that we fill up with money to go to that, to go to travel costs. And for Seba, we are fully funded. We've got all the travel costs covered. And then we're continually fundraising, trying to raise money. And then the next bucket or container we fill is the operator's costs when they're on the island. And we're about 65% funded there. And I'm hopeful that I'll get an email here in the next couple days that bucket or container will be topped off. And then the experienced DXpeditioners, they typically pay half of their cost and all of their airfare. The only thing that the young ops have to pay for is for their evac insurance. We had to draw a line somewhere, and we just decided that that's not really huge significant. They can opt to get an annual policy or a one-trip policy, so we left that up to them. So that is Seba, and I bet you can point your house out, can't you, James? I think I can say that is that one right over there.
Actually, see that on the far right of the island?
Yep.
There's that big cut. It's
It's
about halfway up.
about halfway up.
You can't see the house, but you can see where it is.
Yeah, but the cut that James is referring to is this massive chasm. It's pretty amazing. The house we're operating from, James used to live there. Small world, no connection, no direct connection there. Hope lived there too. The whole family. So we're taking 14 ops. 9 of the ops are first-time DXpeditioners. We have 2 ops from the Netherlands, an op from Germany, 1 from Slovakia, and 2 from Romania. Of those 9 ops, 4 of them were on the off-island team for Rotuma. So what we're doing is, for the next DXpedition, we go back to the previous one and we recruit ops who are on the off-island team. You helped participate in our success previously. We want you to understand that we're grateful about that and give you the opportunity to be an on-island team member on an upcoming DXpedition. Seba's not rare. A lot of people say, well, why are you going to Seba, Greg? It's just a chip shot from the States. It's nothing exciting. It's because it's accessible. It's easy to get to. It's relatively cost effective. It scales. There's plenty of housing. And most importantly, it's safe. I I'm not real comfortable taking a large team of young hams to a place where security is an issue. I've been to those places many times, and I don't want to have anything to do with it with this type of project. And Neil talked about costs a little bit. The per person cost for Rotuma was $8,300, and we had 6 operators. The budget for Saba is $2,800 per person. That's if you took all the costs and divided it evenly across all the participants. So it makes a lot of sense to do it someplace like Saba. I don't know where we're going to go next year. I don't know what the trip's going to look like. The good news is I kind of get to plan it, at least get the planning started on my own. We've had a number of young leaders emerge from the Rotuma trip. And we haven't gotten to Saba yet, but I can tell you there's some young hams on that team that have leadership skills. They can handle a situation. And so I'm thinking maybe the trip next year is all young hams. No old guys like me along. We'll help with the fundraising, we'll help with the planning, we'll help with the logistics, but we're not getting on the plane. It's going to be your trip. And I think that's a real exciting opportunity. And I mentioned the DXpeditions are changing. You go about things differently than my generation did. And you can apply the way that you go about accomplishing tasks, the way you like to do things, the way you want to on a DXpedition. One of the things I didn't mention about the off-island team this year is that we're making it a contest. We're making a competition out of it. There's going to be a leaderboard on the off-island team site where they can keep track of how many contacts they've made. So it's a little, we call it gamifying. It's like making a game out of it. And I think that's going to go over real well. Somewhere I lost a slide here, but I wanted to talk about a little bit about the environment that the young hams operate in. It's kind of like a DXpedition within a DXpedition. The remote stations are coordinated from band and frequency and mode perspective, but we really don't have to mess with the remote stations. They're self-sustainable. They're monitored remotely. They're maintained remotely. If there's a problem, that problem is troubleshot and repaired remotely. So it doesn't put a burden on the on-island team. It becomes just 100% complementary. You sign up for your operating shift on Google Sheets. That's pretty straightforward. Case has run that for us on a couple of trips now. And you collaborate in Slack. So everybody's talking to everybody in Slack. Somebody's coming up on a shift. They're talking to the guy who's currently on the shift. We're building a dashboard. Part of the contest dashboard is going to show the QSO rates that the various ribs are making. So an operator who's going to come on, he's going to know if he can stay on the same band or if he's going to have to change bands. So we're adding a lot of, enriching the experience, let's call it that. And Connor's doing a lot of that work for us. So that is the runway on Saba, and it's worth the price of admission. The only plane that flies in there is operated by Win Air. It's a de Havilland Twin Otter. And the last thing you typically hear before you hear the wheels hit the runway is the stall alarm. And I've watched many planes land there, and one time I saw the plane went past that little stopping area, and it's a cliff on the far end. If he was going to go 50 feet farther, he had a much bigger problem. But it's a real thrill to fly into Saba. Unfortunately, I'm going to be part of a group of the team that's hauling all the gear. So we're going to be taking the ferry. I'm sure the ferry is going to be a lot less exciting than the flight is, but I've made that flight a dozen times, so somebody else can enjoy that. So if you're interested in participating, the team for Saba is full up, the on-island team, but we haven't started recruiting for the off-island team. If you're interested in participating in the off-island team, we'll be putting an announcement out, and we'll get it out over the Yoda channels, if you will, that we're signing up operators. Typically, you can sign, there's going to be 2 ribs. That's 48 hours of transmission a day. We'll probably have 30 operators. So there'll be plenty of time for you to operate if that's what you want to do. And if you want to go on a future trip, drop me an email. I'm good on qrz.com. I've got a list of probably 4 or 5 names now that are going to go with us or plan to go with us in September. And we'd like to add to that team because at this stage of the game, that trip's over a year out or almost a year out. There's going to be some turnover. So I'm thinking maybe a team of 10 to 12 when all things are said and done. This is Vama and Lillian at LIFA. They were our hosts on on Rotuma. Really cool people. Here's a team on Rotuma. I'm going to thank Yoda for their support. And like Yoda, we can't function. We can't put these trips together without support, and it takes a lot of support. I'm really happy with the support we're getting. But as Neil commented, and we're only a couple of months, we're maybe 6 weeks into fundraising for the trip to Saba. It feels more difficult than it did last year. And I think we're going to have to work harder to get to our fundraising goals. And we're going to have to look at different ways to fund these endeavors. It's very important. The people who are in these organizations like Northern California DX Foundation and these major clubs, they realize how important these projects are. And we couldn't do it without them. DX Engineering, Tim, K3LR is amazing. I called him up and I talked to Terry, and I said, Terry, we're going on another trip. And she says, well, what do you need? And I said, I just wanted to let you know we're going on another trip so you put your logo on our website. We're going to put together a list. I can tell you that the materials that DX Engineering provided for us for Rotuma was in excess of $10,000 worth of gear. And no questions asked. And I know Tim is that way across the spectrum. All of the youth organizations, anything that's good for ham radio, DX Engineering is there and they're supporting it. So if you have an opportunity to support them, I'm sure they would be thankful for that. With that, I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning Denver time. A little punchy, but does anybody have any questions? Somebody's got a question. The first question gets the rest of the questions started. So let me ask you right back here.
What is the cost of that insurance we're talking about that we have to pay for?
An annual policy is about $350.
And the one time?
I think it's about $100. So I'll ask the question. How many of you might be interested in going on a trip like this? Okay. Some of you I talked to at Dayton. If you reached out to me at Dayton or after Dayton, your name's on the list for the 2026 trip. I'm excited that you're excited. I love multinational teams, so we're not, it turns out we've got 3 ops from the US on this trip and 6 from Europe. And we had 6 ops from the US, but 3 of them had to drop off. Seth, N4XTT, Chris, KB8C, and Morgan. But they're all on the list for the next one. And we're going to make the timing work out, so those of you in college will have an opportunity to go. They're a lot of fun. It's really exciting being on the other side of the pileup. Hopefully you're going to be faced with some challenges that you'll have to overcome. And it was rough on Rotuma. Weather was rough. We were living with the animals. They lived right there where we were. I got back. 4 of us came back with serious infections, and I had MRSA. So I was in pretty bad shape when I got back, but had a good time nonetheless. Right here. Yes?
Yeah, so once you pick a trip, how do you get the word out? Are you primarily relying on the contest to carry it? Is it through these clubs? How are you promoting this is where we're going so people know to find you?
The first announcement of any given trip, the first place it goes out, I'm assuming on the Yoda website, or because Katie gets it, because she approves what I put out to the press, because these are joint releases. So you're going to hear about it first. We'll make sure that if you're not seeing that, if you keep an eye on the DX outlets, as soon as we announce something, it's going to be up there. It's going to be on the social media sites. But I'll make sure that this group hears about it first. Yes. We're gonna arrive on Saba the evening of the 15th of October and depart on the morning of the 28th. So that's 14 days on island. Evening depart, late afternoon arrival, morning departure will be on the air for 12 days. The subset of the team that's hauling the equipment will be leaving on the 29th because the ferry doesn't run the day the rest of the team is flying out. Yes.
What level of licensing and what kind of skills do you want prospective DXers to have?
That's a really good question. And I worked it out with the licensing authority in the Netherlands. So I had to dig a trench, about a 30-foot trench from my shed to my tower yesterday. And if you know anything about Georgia soil composition, it's clay and rock, and I'm hurting. She knows. So they can be a tech licensee or novice because we have licensees who are extra class. They'll be there as control operators. Same with the remote operators. We maintain local control. If we have to pull the plug on the remote, we just pull it up on my smartphone and hit a button and it goes off the air. Skill sets, and this is something I struggle with. Who am I to try and judge who should go and who shouldn't go? Because if I was 18 and I was applying to go on a DXpedition, I probably wouldn't get picked. That's because that's where I was at when I was 18. But look what I'm doing today. And so there's going to be hard decisions that have to be made when the number of applicants exceeds by some large number the number of people we can support. But we haven't been there on these 2 trips yet. And I tell you, that's going to be a tough decision for me to make. We know we're going to have some fallout. If we start recruiting 8 months in advance and we're going for a 12-man team, we're going to have 4. Odds are we're going to lose 4 people. So we will build a list of 12 ops and 4 alternates. I just haven't had to make a decision. When that attrition occurs, then those alternates will immediately come onto the team. Right now, the young ops are buying their tickets. It's working really well. It's coming in under budget. Yeah, it's always good. And they're amazed because they're getting reimbursed in an hour. They send me an itinerary. I say, book the ticket. They send me a copy of the receipt. I fire off a PayPal. It's working that well. It's 400 and something meals, 2 operating locations. Where we're, my daughter and I will be staying at Jeff and Shelley's. The rest of the team, 2 members of the team will be staying at our other operating location, which is down by the airport. And then the rest of the team will be staying at a place called El Momo, which is cottages, double occupancy rooms. The tough part is the meals. The meals cost as much as the lodging does. And we're trying to figure out how we herd 14 operators to get a meal. We haven't quite figured that out yet. We know what it's going to cost. And it will come together because they were going to have to eat. But we're going to have to take some costs out of the meal side. I need to get that down lower than 7,000. You're always working this from both sides. You're driving your donations and then you're chiseling away at the budget at the same time, trying to get to a point to where it's solvent. You look like you have a question.
I was on a DXpedition with Curacao a couple years back. It was a great time, really fun. You get to operate with some of the best equipment out there. You get to operate with some of the best people out there, and it's a once in a lifetime experience, I'd say. And if you're interested in going, definitely, I'd say definitely try.
Thank you for sharing your experience. One thing that we're doing different is we're building these stations from the ground up. These are not existing stations. I was originally looking to go to Grenada for this trip, and I don't know why. I think I was tired. But then I realized we had equipment stored on Saba. It's not up. The tower's not up. The antennas aren't up. It's in storage. And then we're bringing the rest. We're probably going to have 15 to 18 pieces of checked luggage. But it's going to be just like building someplace like Rotuma. It's going to be the same experience. You're not going to have to deal with disease-infested insects and rats and all sorts of stuff. But from an operating perspective, problem solving, setting up a station, resolving interference issues, it's going to be the same experience. Yes, sir.
How can we in the United States contact the team out there in Rotuma?
Well, the team at Rotuma is home now.
Okay, well, where are we going to be?
Okay, we're going to be on Saba, so it'll be announced. We have a website. Our website is PJ6 Yankee, Y is everywhere, 2025.com. PJ6Y2025.com. Our operating frequencies will be there. The best place to find us is look on the spotting cluster, the packet cluster. Our call sign's PJ6Y. We'll be active in the CQ Worldwide sideband contest, and we're also going to have a satellite station with us. God, it feels much better to sit down than just stand up. Any other questions? We'll try to do our best to keep you informed. Katie, is there a better way to get the news out to these folks than what we're doing now? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Any other questions? Who am I going to see in 2026? I'm not looking for the shy ones here. And I'm excited about working with you. This has got some legs. We have momentum. We see what's coming up in 2026. And it's all good, man. You're welcome. There we go.
All right. Well, Greg asked, hey, can I come talk about DXpeditions? And of course, you heard me say a while ago that we have all these fabulous people, and I tell them no. But we have a keynote. And so would you be willing to come do the keynote? And he immediately said yes. And said, I'll book my room out. I didn't even have to take care of his arrangements or anything. So thank you for coming. I think that was a great thing. And from the sign of all those hands, I think it was worthwhile. So, all right. Okay, I need to do one thing, and then we're going to take a break. Ruth, where are you? Come on, come up here. So, any good director has a good assistant director. And so Ruth has been taking on a lot of the administrative duties as well as she'll be leading the ARIS contact and helping with the satellites. And Ruth took on registration 2 years ago. She spent this year training Abikemi Matsuyoshi to take over that, and so she's going to be doing the scheduling for next year's camp. She just passed her qualifying exams for a PhD in acoustics, and so I surprised her Friday night with a trip to Casa Bonita. If you've heard of that, it's a local thing run by the South Park creators. And they have cliff divers and puppet shows and all kinds of stuff, and some Mexican food. And so we're sitting down at dinner, and you know, every once in a while, this big rumble would come by. I thought I was at Rainforest Cafe there for a minute. And this rumble would come by. And what does she say? Gee, what's going on? No, it was, I wonder how they placed the speakers in this place. But Ruth has done a ton of stuff, and she is doing more and more all the time. So just wanted to introduce you to Ruth. She will be leading a lot of the excursions this week and everything. So just if I'm not around, make sure you find Ruth or any of these people wearing light blue. We have a wardrobe of light blue for the week typically. So thank you, Ruth. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to take about a 15-minute break. The restrooms, ladies right here, men right here. There's all kinds of food left. Do not leave here hungry. If you want some more food, if you want drinks, do that. And then in about 15 minutes, we will get back together again. And I've got some rules to go over. The live stream is going to end now. So farewell to everybody watching online. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.